From the Oklahoman newsroom, it's time for a Varsity update. I'm Jenny Carlson here with high school sports beat writer Jacob Unruh. Jacob, it is week 8, which means we are deep into district play, getting some idea of how these playoff pairings may shake down. But some great games this week, and with fall break, Thursday night games pretty much across the board. But starting out in the Mid-Del district with Del City, Midwest City, a game that used to be pretty heavily swayed toward Midwest City. Now it's definitely more of a contest.
Yeah, it's a huge game this week. Usually this game is a non-district game. First time they're in district play in a while, and so there's huge implications here. You know, Del City's undefeated in district play. Midwest City's got one loss to Stillwater. Both teams appear to be chasing Stillwater right now, still technically a little bit. Del City's want to stay in that hunt. They have Stillwater week 10. But next week, Del City also has Lawton. So a big stretch for Del City that features, you know, Jeff Foreman, who I think is actually turned into one of the best players in the state at receiver. Defensive back, return specialist, does everything for him every time he touches the ball. And it kind of swings the favor towards Del City in these big matchups to where you kind of maybe lean towards them. All
right, well, we'll see. But Mid-Del large and in charge at the top of your top 10 games. But then a really good smaller school matchup at number 2. You've got Heritage Hall going to Kingfisher, and your reigning player of the week, Jet Sternberger, quarterback in the Yellow Jackets out there in Kingfisher.
Yeah, Jet's obviously off to a great start. So is his brother Jace at Texas A&M. I think there's a family thing going on here. I'm not, maybe a little bit, right? Jet's a pretty good basketball player too. But huge matchup, district implications. It's been a few years since these two teams have played. They were rivals before this a little bit in district, you know, and kind of had, you know, this rivalry going back and forth with each other. And now I think they're ready to renew it. It's the one Friday game this week, which is even more exciting about it because on the top 10 games, because there's not a lot of games on Friday with fall break. And so you get to see Jade McDaniel and Billy Ross Jr. against Jet Sternberger, Trey Green, and guys like that.
Well, and if people want to get out and see that game, maybe their game's Thursday. That's a Friday night game, as you mentioned. I said off the top that, you know, in week 8, we're starting to see some of these games start to set some playoff implications here. Your number 4 game is one that might actually determine a district title between Tuttle and Blanchard. Tuttle wins, they're probably on their way to a district crown.
Yeah, they virtually locked it up at that point. They've already beat Bethany and Blanchard at that point. I think the last opponent they have left that is in the playoff hunt is Cushing, and Tuttle, could theoretically lose the next 2 games, but the win right there would put them in a huge spot. And they've been really dominant. They moved up to number 2 in our rankings this week. Carson Berryhill at quarterback has been really impressive. Their defense is good. Their line is big and physical. They are going to have their hands full with Blanchard, though. Blanchard has gotten a lot better since their loss to Bethany. Jamie Nance is a dynamic receiver going to Nebraska, and they're just going to do everything they can to get him the ball.
Lastly, we'll give a shout out to the small schools. Your number 10 game is a Class B 8-man game. If you're looking to make a little drive and see some 8-man ball, this would be a good one. Laverne goes to Shattuck, and these two teams have played each other a lot, usually with big stakes, state titles namely on the line.
Yeah, it's a twice-a-year matchup anymore. You can, the last 2 years they've played in the title game, they've played in district play. Laverne won the title 2 years ago. Then they won the regular season matchup last year. Shattuck won the title game. Shattuck's been incredibly dominant though this year, and everything you talk with coaches in Class B is just, can anyone even beat Shattuck? And Laverne was supposed to be in a bit of a rebuild year, but they've been really impressive too. So that should be a fun night.
All right, there's your top 10 games look. Again, with fall break, most games Thursday night. So if you're headed out to see a high school game this week, make sure you know what day it's on. You'd hate to miss it if it's Thursday night, or if it's actually on the traditional Friday. Be sure to check our list of games in the Oklahoman and on News OK. And be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.